Hello artists! This is your art teacher, Miss Dressel, and today we are going to read The Little Hippo, and it's a children's book inspired by Egyptian art by Anja Klaus and Geraldine Elshner. The Little Hippo. There they are. This story begins in ancient Egypt during the happy age of blue hippos. At that time, if you gazed at the watery marshes that lined the cities, you could see the hippos' backs curled up along the horizon. What else do you guys see on this page? As the good masters of the Nile River, the blue hippos basked in its tranquil waters. All around them bloomed flowers, and as time went by, the river's many plants left a mark on their sun-bathed skin. Fish would brush against them, butterflies would land on them, and birds pecked without fear at these strange turquoise creatures. They have plant designs and a butterfly on their head. And here are some fish all around. One day, the youngest among them, the one they called Little Hippo, became the friend of Antef, a tall, old man with white hair. Every night, side by side, Antef and Little Hippo would admire the setting sun. "The sun dies each day to be reborn each morning," the old man would say. "Soon I too will fall asleep just like him, then a long journey will begin." When Antef left for this unknown kingdom, and when he was laid below the ground, Little Hippo lay down beside him and fell asleep into a deep slumber. Time went by. Days, months, centuries. Hidden deep inside their tomb, Antef and Little Hippo seemed to be forgotten. Then one bright morning, at the first light of dawn, shovels began to dig through the earth. Hands began to search slowly through everything. One by one, the diggers removed a multitude of objects, each one more precious than the other. All this commotion woke up Little Hippo, who became frightened and hid beneath a stone. It was only then that he noticed his size. Instead of growing all these years, he had been getting smaller and smaller. As soon as he got a chance, Little Hippo slipped out into the open. Nothing looked the same outside. The city had vanished into thin air, and the river, the blue hippos had disappeared. Where were his brothers, his friends, and his parents? There was not even a single flower growing anywhere, not a single bird flying in the sky. Wind and time had taken them all. "I need to find my own kind," he thought, Little Hippo. "Perhaps they've left for distant lands, the one which Antef so often mentioned." And so he began his journey, a minuscule blue spot in the big golden desert. He scampered for days. The more he walked, the more sand stuck to his skin, covering the beautiful turquoise color of his back. Soon he began to shine as brightly as the sun. Little by little, underneath his feet, clay began to replace the warm sand of the desert. Houses lined the road here and there. And when the wind blew clay dust onto his body, Little Hippo took the appearance of a setting sun. In the distance, a forest appeared. Little Hippo was so happy to see the trees and plants again. He rolled around in the leaves and ate them with delight. When he came out, he was as green as a prairie. There he is. His green little body. Little Hippo kept walking and walking for what seemed like an eternity. At last he saw tall silhouettes on the horizon. A thick fog floated in the air, heavy with dust and smoke. Exhausted, little Hippo lay down and fell asleep. When he woke up, he looked just like a gray mouse. Little Hippo sighed. He had been traveling for so long, he would never find his long-lost ancestors. When he caught sight of water flowing gently in a meandering river, he slipped into it and began to cry. But all of a sudden, as the current washed over his small round back, he saw them, his parents, his brothers, his friends. They were all waiting for him in a pyramid made of glass. Filled with joy, little Hippo ran up to join them with all the strength that his little legs would allow. Ever since that day, little Hippo has slept blissfully beside his family and friends. Meanwhile, around the earth, all hippos bathe tirelessly in the hope that one day they'll recover the beautiful turquoise color that they once had. A hippopotamus found in a tomb in Egypt at Dra Abul El Nagra. It's Egyptian earthenware, and it was made during the 11th dynasty, which is about 2040 BC to 1640 BC. It's about 5 inches tall, and it's in the museum, the Louvre in Paris. And that's why it looks really big like this, because it's a nice photograph from the museum. A hippopotamus. What does the little hippo represent? For ancient Egyptians, the universe began with a boundless ocean called the noun. It is from the noun that everything else was born. The sun came out of a lotus flower on the first morning, and then the gods and the rest of creation appeared. Living in the marshes and covered with aquatic plants, the hippopotamus, little hippo, represented the first ocean of the world where everything started. He has even taken a watery blue color, which also recalls the Nile, a river that was very fertile during ancient times. And Tef leaves for an unknown kingdom. Where does he go? The white-haired old man leaves for a long journey on the day of his death, a journey to be with the gods. Ancient Egyptians believed that as the sun is reborn every morning after the night, life is reborn out of the realm of death. In an Egyptian tomb, vases, statues, and offerings just like little Hippo are placed next to the sarcophagus or the coffin to accompany the deceased after his rebirth. Where were the blue hippos found? They were found in tombs from Egypt's Middle Kingdom around 2000 BC. Decorated with aquatic plants, these earthenware hippopotamuses recall the noun, the ocean where everything was born. They announced that the dead were coming back to life. Mummies also had special jewelry that symbolized rebirth, often showing a scarab beetle holding up the sun. Where are the blue hippos now? About 50 of them are scattered in big museums around the world, from Cairo to New York, from Paris to Berlin. You'll even find one in the British Museum in London. No two hippos look alike. The designs on their bodies vary. Plants, birds, butterflies, as do their size, from 9 centimeters to 23 centimeters. But whether blue or turquoise, nearly every one of them has a beautiful lotus flower blooming on its big round bottom. Who uncovered all these treasures from ancient Egypt? Archaeologists. Thanks to their fabulous work, we have come to know this rich and mysterious civilization. As they discovered tombs from the Valley of the Kings and the pyramids, and as they deciphered ancient Egyptian writings or hieroglyphs, these scientists revealed thousands of years of ancient history. Today, they continue their digging in Egypt and elsewhere to uncover other treasures that still sleep below the earth. From pyramid to pyramid, most Egyptian pyramids were tombs for pharaohs, like kings, and their loved ones. Pharaoh Chop's pyramid, one of the 7 wonders of the world, is more than 4,500 years old. The glass pyramid from Little Hippo's Journey is much younger. It was designed by architect Leo Ming-Pei, and it has been used since 1989 as the entrance hall to the Paris Louvre Museum. If you visit the Louvre, you can see several blue hippos from Little Hippo's family. And that is the end of our story. So now we can take some time to draw our own image of a hippo, the blue hippopotamus, the earthenware sculpture from ancient Egypt. So let's get our paper and pencil so we can start drawing. All right, artists, it's time to draw our picture inspired by the little hippo, the earthenware sculpture that we saw in the story. So when we looked at the hippopotamus earthenware sculpture from the story, we saw that it was a little bit small, but it had all of these designs like plants and lotus flowers drawn on its body. So we'll draw the outline shape of the hippo's body, and then we'll be able to draw designs like plants and flowers, different types of line details on top of the body. So you need a piece of paper, a pencil, and you can even use 2 different shades of blue, a light blue and a dark blue, and maybe you want this black marker too. So let's start drawing. The first thing we'll do is we'll draw the shape for the hippopotamus back. So we'll draw some shapes and then we'll erase where they connect. So to start drawing our hippopotamus, what we'll do is make an oval shape for his big back. So make sure you draw your oval shape for the hippopotamus's back nice and large, because the hippopotamus back is very round and full. We also want to have a big area so that we can draw designs. Then we'll draw the neck and the head, and those are going to come off and to the side. So I'll draw 2 lines that come up, and then I'll make a loop. I'm going to want to add ears, eyes, a nose, and a smile. So some details on the face. Then we can draw the legs. Do loops. And the back legs. I drew them overlapping, so one leg is in front and one leg is behind. Then we can start to erase where shapes connect. So I'll erase where the legs and the body meet. Just the front legs, the legs that are closer to us. And I can also erase where the neck and the body meet. Then I can think about the different designs that I want to draw on the body, because now the body shape is done. Maybe I made his neck a little too skinny. Maybe I'll change the neck and make it a little bit thicker. Make it look more realistic. It's okay to adjust our drawing as we're going. Everyone's drawing is going to look a little different. I wanted to make my neck a little bit thicker. That way I have more room for designs. So now I can start drawing different types of designs inspired by plants and things that you might have seen in the Nile River. So we'll take a quick look again at the photograph of the artwork, and I can see that one big plant runs up the side with small loops for leaves. I see another plant like a reed. Looks like it has a long stem, and then a big top with some dots. So let's try and copy some of these designs that I see. And there's even a big palm looking leaf kind of like a heart shape with stripes in it near the mouth. It even looks like there are some designs that run down the back that we can't see all of. So let's try and draw some of these designs. There's one that goes right across with 2 lines. And another one. These all kind of look like ovals. It even looks like down the back there are some leaves. Like that. And on the back it looks like there's something too. If you don't like these designs, you can always do a different design. And the last thing that I need to add to my design is the base of the sculpture. So the sculpture actually has a base that it's attached to, like a stand. So I'm going to draw that underneath, kind of like a rectangle or a parallelogram shape. And I want to make it 3-dimensional. The base is thick. Like that. So that way it looks like a sculpture. So now that I've drawn and traced everything, I can use blue to color it in to make it look even more realistic. So my tip is you can use 2 different shades of blue, a light blue and a dark blue, Or you could use just one color blue and use pressure to shade to make it look three-dimensional. So I'm going to use 2 shades of blue because I have 2 shades of blue. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to color the entire thing, the entire picture, one light value of blue. Now if you only have one color of blue, you can do the same thing, and then when we go to use the second value that is darker, you could press harder when you color in to add value. So I'm going to color inside the entire drawing, trying to keep my pressure, how hard I press, even the entire time. So I don't want to press hard in some spots and then light in some other spots. I want to try and keep my pressure while I color it in even. So now here's where we can add value and shading. So I know that when light is shining on something, some areas will be lighter and other areas will be darker. So for our hippopotamus, the belly at the bottom should be darker. And so should the bottom of the legs and the feet, because those are at the bottom, they're underneath, so they should be darker. So I'm going to use my second value of blue, my darker blue, to start to do shading. I should also shade underneath my hippo on the base. And I might even want to press darker underneath the belly and at the bottom of the feet. And then along the sides of my base, I want to make sure that the edges of my base are shaded darker. And I'm going to just use that one color to shade, and even underneath the chin and underneath the neck. I want to shade the bottom darker because that's going to make it look more realistic. So I'm going to use a darker value along the edges where it would be darker. That's going to make it look more realistic. When I'm done, I can use scissors to cut out my artwork. So I can cut out the base. I can cut out the whole picture. Being careful to turn my paper as I cut so that my scissors are facing forward. And when I cut out my artwork, one thing I like to do when I'm cutting is try to cut it out in one piece. So that way, instead of having lots of little scraps to clean up, I just have one scrap to clean up. So when I cut my hippopotamus sculpture out, I turn my paper as I cut. So I use my cutting hand to hold my scissor, and I use my non-dominant hand, the hand that is not holding my scissor, to turn the paper so my scissors can stay straight, but my paper will turn. And that way, when I'm all done cutting it out, I have my hippo, and I have one scrap to throw away. Now, on the back of my artwork, this is what we're going to do. We're going to sign our name. And you can write the date. And we can also write where it's from, Egypt. It's from Egypt, and it is an hippopotamus sculpture. So we can write H-I-P-P-O, hippo, pot, P-O-T, hippopotamus, A-M-U-S. And we were making a drawing inspired by a sculpture, something three-dimensional. So we can write SCULPTURE.